Welcome, neighbor. Will you take a walk with me? During our time together, my prayer is that we are able to step out of our shoes and make an exchange, where I walk inside your shoes and you walk inside of mine. If you don't have any shoes, that is cool too. I still want to walk along with you. There's countless dimensions at play when we find time to reflect on the mysteries of life. Individuals are never alone in their quest to make sense of the world or interpret their experiences. They emerge from shared communities. Our beliefs are rooted in personal encounter with mystery as a personal offer or to a deeper relationship.
Welcome to everyone who have joined in on Mississippi neighborhood. Um, I have a friend of mine from Yale Theological Seminary, and he will be here to talk about his new book that he has written for us. So Noah, do you mind actually sharing a little bit about yourself, why you decided to go to seminary, and then also talk about why you decided to write this book, especially in the uncertainties that we are in.
There's a lot of components to me and also the book itself. First off, my name is Noah Benjamin Humphrey. I'm a second-year Master's of Divinity major at Yale Divinity School. And why I'm in this program itself is because I want to become a pastor and also a chiropractor that utilizes prayer. And my book, Morgan Boy, mentions both the struggles that I face, but also at the same time, the triumphs of what I've seen in South Central LA. And it is a tribute to the people that have contributed to my growth, but also at the same time to tell stories that have not been known. And again, it is about the aspect of bringing people who wouldn't have a story in the first place in the main side of media up front. And again, I chose stories from both my friends, from both schoolmates, just a different assortment of people as well. And I just gathered that into a poetry book that better explains both the views of what is seen in South Central LA, but gives people a greater holistic view of how to heal from generational trauma as well. And again, the book does not substitute for the South Central LA experience at all. You would have to continue to read to know, but also to do the work that you have to do in order to help the people there. It's not so much about reading like the book that allows you to be in like a person that allows for greater help within the community. It allows you to give the awareness that allows for more like people to contribute to change within their own environment. And again, this is for like the kids over there. This is for the people who said that I couldn't make it out of there and grow from that like experience itself, but also just for my God, who has allowed me to really understand and grow in those circumstances as well, because I've truly grown from a boy, from a man, from like a boy to a man in the situations that I've faced, but also from like the stories that I've heard as well, because it allowed me to grow as a more mature person that continues to strive for greatness in every area that I can.
Just to add to what you basically shared, like you're just saying that like the book reflects on racism. It almost sounds like you want to touch on gentrification. You touch on social issues that you faced in the environment, and a lot of people can say, you know what, I have faced racism. I faced gentrification or all the social issues in my environment. Let me move forward, right? Let me try to run away from all these issues. But for you, you went the complete opposite. you decide to engage in the journey, and that journey is the book that you have just written for the world. What exactly were some of the issues that you went through that inspired you to write this book?
Gotcha. It's multiple parts that allowed me to write this book. One, I wanted to note the struggles of what the South Central people go through on a daily basis and how they build from that. Mm-hmm. Two, I wanted to bring a greater motivation from within as well. I wanted to capture the likeness, the symbolism in like which they place, and give it a place that allows for greater growth and also examples as well. And also three, with the experiences that I faced, I actually lost my friend from COVID-19. He was only 21 years old, and it was tough. His name is Devon Rico Spillers, and Rico was just a nickname we called him. And again, he was, just another kid essentially in a way too. He was just trying to make something out of the life that he has had. And, it was tough because again, at that time I was with my family in Hawaii because we actually moved before the pandemic itself. And East Side is within my blood. And it was really hard. Yes, right before. And again, during that time, whereas I was basically on an island, but I was trapped on it because we couldn't necessarily leave or move. And I had to take care of my family as well. And it was just hard to balance the fact that I couldn't be there to my friend's funeral. I had to check in again. And by the time that I went over there, it had been a year past. And when I visited his grave, that was just the toughest thing. But I knew at that moment I had to keep going. And through that pain, through all that, even during my time in Hawaii as well too, I used that time to really cultivate and grow my writing. Morgan Boy is a accumulation of 2 to 3 years of hard work. As it took 2 to 3 years to make those poems. I talked to countless people about it as well too, but essentially the only people that really were essentially on it were the ones on my hands, because there were so many stories told, but not too many people wanted to express that out. And I totally understood that as well. And again, during that time, not too many people were receptive as well, because again, through the pandemic itself, some people wanted to get away from it. Nobody didn't want to really talk about their situations as well. So I thoroughly commend the people that were able to talk out, to reach out to me, and to build this. It wasn't something just for me. It's here I'm actually going to get an award here, I'm going to get an award there. But this was just something that my friends can look out at us and say, hey, my father's picture is in that book. Or say, hey, Davon's is in that book. Rico is in that book. And it's by saying that my friend who passed away is in a book that is published, that is forever there. That's just it. He's on there. And again, that's just the best tribute that I can do. And again, I want to continue to build on that as well too. Morgan Boy isn't the last book I'm going to make. I have plenty of different projects ahead, but one of the projects that I would like to do is create a foundation in which I can help people who have been suffering from COVID-19 in South Central LA and other marginalized communities as well. And I would actually call it the Spillers Foundation, based off my friend and the work that he did.
Wow. And what was the work that your friend that passed away did exactly?
it was the teachings that he has gotten. And like, again, it was just by him living life and by being a person there. He wasn't necessarily like, this, I would say, with like the opportunities for college and all of like that stuff as well, there's always different roads that like we take, but I always tried to connect with him the best way I could, and just, to lift him up. Because again, it was just a blessing to see him do everything he can. So when I heard the news that he passed away, it hurt. It extremely hurt, because that was just one of like my friends that, he was the first friend that I made in South Central LA. I thoroughly remember the fact that on a basketball game, whereas he had his birthday on, I put $5 into his bag, and the very next day, he told me that was the best gift he had ever received. Because no one gives out money like that. No one really gives out time and patience just like that. Because I didn't only put the money in there, but I put a note by saying, "Hey, man, I wasn't able to make it out to the game because I had to go, because I was on the JV team at to like that time." And I was like, "Yo, I can't go here because I have to go like back to my house. But I wish you the best on the game, and have a blessed day." And it's just one of those things that really spark a light in you. Yeah. And that's what I tried to do, with like the book, but also with people who, with people who are Black itself. I wanted to give a name to both the problems that I face, but also at the same time, Morgan Boy is based off of the street that I was living in during my time in South Central LA. Yeah. So when I was, and I say Morgan Boy, of course I was 17, 18 years old. I just moved over there. I was a teen. It was like, why don't you name it Morgan Teen? But I say Morgan Boy because the experiences that I faced made me into the man I am now. Mm-hmm. And it's so important to examine that, because it's so easy to get lost in where you come from. Mm-hmm. But when I refer to that state, that was the best that I could say, because Morgan Boy is the symbol of saying I was just a kid that, just moved into the area itself. And I could have easily said, nope, I'm going to forget about this place. I didn't want nothing to do with it, but I strive to be the best person that I can be. And it got me here. Right. Got me here at Yale.
So before you moved you were in a different place, and then you moved into South Central LA. And then from South Central LA, you had to move to Hawaii, I believe.
Yes.
Right before. Okay, man. Just like listening to you right now, like basically I'm just imagining how much we like our generation, how much we can find ourselves run away from the mundane mysteries of life. You know what I mean? Like who wants to go to South Central LA, especially when you hear like so many stereotypes about it? Or like as kids, or I don't know how old you were at the time when you had to move there, you would either say, "Mom, Dad, I'm not feeling this place. I have to go back to a civic place." But you were like, "I'm going to wrestle this out," right? I remember so many people who would like try to explore different places outside of the original places. And then on their way there, they would say, "I miss home. I don't want to go there. I don't want to stay here." They'll probably be at this new place for like a semester or two. And then like they'll transfer back during the college years. So to hear your story is pretty powerful, man. Oh, man. So what exactly is the word Morgan?
Morgan.
Mm-hmm. What exactly is that? Where does that come from? Is that like your middle name or something, or what?
No, it comes from the street in which I lived. So again, I moved a lot as a kid because again, like my family was always based off faith. So again, I was born in Wilmington, Delaware. I moved to Yuma, Arizona as a child. And then I grew up there until about first year of high school. Then I moved to Fresno, California, and I was there from the 9th grade to the 11th grade. And then the summer of my 11th grade, I moved to LA. And at that time in LA, that was where I said before, whereas I was just a 17, 18-year-old kid at that time. You know what I mean? I still say that I'm a Morgan boy because that was a place that resonated with me the most, that I was able to see the most struggle from that place, but also at the same time grow because I was involved with multiple things. I was involved with football. I was involved with the community around me. We were doing community service work on Skid Row as well. And it was just a lot of different stuff that just made me want to do more. And when I graduated from high school, I went to Whittier, California, which is about 20 miles away from Southern California, around that place. But
what college is this again? So cut you off.
Whittier College. Whittier College, yes. So it wasn't that far away from LA, so it was pretty safe. But during the senior year of my college, my family moved. So again, my senior year, they actually moved the fall of my senior year, and then I joined them that next spring because the pandemic hit, and I wanted to move with them. So I was over in Hawaii for that time for a good a year and a half, because I didn't leave the island until 2021 of June this year. Right. So I stayed there the entire time. I was there. I was just there for a year or more. I was part of community organizations and moving, but I had a plan that I wanted to publish Morgan Boy. So I worked with a Black publishing company in order to get that done. And it's called Black Minds Publishing. And I was able to get the work done. I was able to also work with an artist from the Central LA, and who was also a demo alumni who actually came from the same high school as me from LA. And she has done a tremendous job on the cover itself and really putting what I wanted into life. And I couldn't have done it without the artist or also the publishing company as well, because they gave me a lot more tips to really strengthen my poetry, my art, because again, my poetry is very wild at times. As in, I don't like to follow different structures or don't make things rhyme. I'm just a person that tells it to you as what it is. And there's some lines that's what in the world is you talking about? But then the very next line, everything meshes in. And that's kind of what Morgan Boy is. It is it's kind of like a defiance against the modern poetry book, but it is still a poetry book. As in, it's something that is published, but not seen, but it can be seen to those who search for it. Yeah. That's kind of the part I want.
I agree, man. I agree, because that's me and you. I think we are definitely going to be creating some sort of, what is the word I'm thinking about? Some sort of chaos in the poetry world today, because a lot of time we grow up thinking that whenever you have to sing or whenever you have to create some sort of poetry reflection of yourself to an audience, we try to force it to rhyme generally, right? And I think from your perspective, I'm just being encouraged to realize that, and I hope my audience, everyone else that are listening, that poetry doesn't always have to rhyme, right? From a theological perspective, poetry can simply be the way we create, the thoughts that we get into our head, and how we create it for people to reflect on. Right. It doesn't necessarily have to rhyme. In the Psalms, you don't really see much words running there, but it's a poetry book. The book of Psalms is a poetry book. A lot of it is, but you don't really sense the rhyme. So for you to say that there's hidden gems, so when you read it, it might not make sense, it might not rhyme, if I'm hearing you right. But we have to find that. We have to find the gems in there, right? The treasure in there. If that's what I'm hearing, so to speak.
Yeah.
So do you mind like sharing like a piece of that?
A piece of poetry? Yeah, sure. What's that? Just gotta get this going. But one part of the poetry itself I wanted to kind of note is yeah. It's the poems itself, because it kind of drags, well, not like drags out, but just talks about the points in which I wanted to really get across. And one of them, it's a jungle, and that's the very first poem itself. And the first three verses of it says, "Fifth grade was rambunctious, rowdy, animalistic, its own jungle. Each beast went up the monkey bars, all had separate tribes to migrate to. Some went to forage for food, some didn't share with the rest. Some went near the shade to drink sweet nectar from fruits, others drank near the water deposits. The jungle was a humid place. I must have been a different beast. I tried to fit with exhaustive efforts, but I was different. The beast told me so. I couldn't adapt to the unruly jungle, and the jungle couldn't adapt to my needs. I had little communication, no tribe. The monkey bars were way too tall for me to reach. I constantly drank from water deposits, and my mane was ravaged with thick, bushy wool, like a hornet's nest with thickets of black, seamless threads. I was treated like I had jungle fever, isolated, non-adaptive, and displaying a cold black mane. Their hides looked like the day. Mine looked like the night. My camouflage made them attack me, intimidate me, and break my peace. They mistook my kindness for fangs and my cries as vicious wars, brittled my paths to others, and eliminated my places of comfort. I was alone, hunted alone, and lived far away from the jungle at times. The classroom was a jungle. The playground was a jungle. Until night comes to the jungle, and the beast would leave the jungle till morning, when once more I would be the same, isolated, cold beast."
Wow. I can definitely see how this relates to the mystery of the pandemic for sure. Like, so I hear lots of jungle in there, that's for sure. I think I heard like 4 or 5 times. I hear a lot of consumerism that people they want to share. What exactly inspired you to write that?
It's different because it was my own experiences in Arizona at times, because as a black kid sitting down on the monkey bars, and I was also short as well, but too, I seemed like a different beast because I was black, because I had darker skin than anybody else. I had coal as a night, but I used metaphors in a way that allowed for different illusions to come across. As in, it wasn't just a story about the monkey bars, it was about a beast, and that beast could have easily be interpreted in multiple ways, such as like the forms that you have said too, because again, this is how you grow and gain. This isn't just from one view that everything is understood. Everyone has their interpretation that makes it correct, as in there is no right answer, but the only answer there is that the beast is black. And what do we do with a black beast?
Yeah. The black beast being this thing that you felt devoured by, so to speak. Is that what I'm hearing?
You can be the black beast that devours, but also you can be the black beast itself in the classroom, in the locker room, in any aspect of life that you wish, but also at the same time. Spiritually, physically, mentally, you can be the beast within your own mind. But that is why I said it shines like the night. They say that I'm day, but I shine like the night because there's still beauty behind it. That there is still loveliness that can be said, that they interpreted my cries different, but if they listened to me more, they might see something else. As in, if like they seen that man more and talked to him, they could have a different experience. If they seen more, then maybe that black beast that someone attacked is not necessarily a vicious beast, but just a human being.
So on one hand, you are like laying out the visceral reality of your pain. And then on the other hand, you're not trying to create any kind of division in this poetry, but rather you're encouraging people to learn how to fight whatever disease, I might say, that is either harming you or harming the larger humanity. At large, like, it's not fair. It doesn't have to be this way, so to speak, but yet I'm feeling this pain. Man, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh,
and
wow.
one of like one of like the verses I said before, I was treated like I had jungle fever. And again, that line itself, jungle fever, can be interpreted in multiple terms, as in the jungle, as in I was like sick of being in like the jungle, the fever, as in I was just sick of it. But also at the same time, jungle fever is also a term used for like people who like to date outside their race, which was a racist term. So again, it's something saying like, if I wanted to talk to people outside my race, it says, oh, hello, I like to talk to this white girl, or I want to talk to the person, and all of that there was going to be divides, because at that time, because around like the area itself, I was not considered a true person at times.
Yes.
And again, the classroom that I was in, it was okay, it's all good, but also I've seen where I was the only black beast in the classroom. And again, that personified the way that I interacted with people as well, because they couldn't necessarily understand what I would like be going through.
I mean, if you live in a capitalistic society and everything is like such like this fast paced kind of McDonald's mentality that we have, like who has the time to like take a step back and get to know the neighbor or get to learn from the neighbor? Like, no one got that time, and that's a sad reality that we live in. But so for you to like share that piece, personally, it relates to me, to be honest. I can definitely relate to that, man. I know this is not about me, this is about you, but to keep it short, I can relate to that. My own brother, who, I don't want to mention his name, but if he's listening, if he ever get a chance to listen to this, I know he used to like, to struggle with like speech impediment, right? And I know that he faced a lot of this isolation throughout his years here in elementary, middle school, high school, even college. But he didn't really know how to handle the situation, like living in an African context. Like parents don't really know how to handle the situation, right? A lot of time, I don't blame them, but most of the time what you hear is, oh, forgive them, or what you hear is, oh, forget about it, right? But it's so hard to forget about something that you've experienced that has literally like impacted you in a negative way. I mean, you're not trying to create any kind of division, but it's just like, is there anyone out there to listen to what I'm facing? And that can be very sad. Isolation in a negative sense. I mean, isolation can be very beautiful in a positive sense, but when we're forced to deal or to be put in situations where we did not ask for, that can be very tough. So thank you very much for sharing that, man. I appreciate that. I can definitely relate to that in so many ways. Man, I didn't get your book. If anyone's listening to this, man, you guys got to get Noah Humphrey's book, because this is actually pretty cool and support him for sure. Is there anything else that you want to add to this before you leave? So you say you are.
Yeah, I'm just blessed to have this experience, blessed to have this growth. Again, I'm looking to get my book into the Yale libraries here, to other book stores as well, but just constantly just working on this. And like, again, any feed my back, any like comments as well. I want to continue to grow. Like this is kind of just the bottom of the barrel in which I've seen. And again, I'm elated on this. I'm happy about everything that has been pushed through. But right now, it's the process of growing from like this, because there was growing like pains to get this book out. But now I'm going to have to take time to really delve into greater works of poetry in order to get a book that allows for more expansions. So that's kind of just my thing right now. So I'm just looking forward to people reading like my book, because again, just people from South Central LA reading like my book, it's just a blessing to hear. Like I had people messaging me saying, "Oh yeah, I bought your book. I'm going to read it." I'm like, this is, that's just the one thing I always wanted, because again, being isolated from society itself, from away from that, and also being a poet that goes outside of the box too, for me to have a work that represents the work of the community which I love, but also at the same time embodies the style that I want, is such a joy. And I'm just so thankful for you having me on to kind of like explain more of like that. And I'm blessed to do another reading of it again. Like, just truly excited for what is to come.
Wow. Noah, thank you very much for joining me and for sharing your book. I really hope that people will support your book and your work. And I thank you very much for also taking the time to really engage in the world of God, the kingdom of God. We need people like you. We need the kingdom to shift in so many different ways. Many people will read your book, and then they probably might have some other aspects of the book that might sound a bit hectic, a bit boring. And then there'll be people, which I know there'll be people who read your book and say, you really touched them, you really made an impact in them. And I wish and pray that that's what I want to hear from those who will come encounter your book. I can already sense that I'm going to be encouraged to be touched by your book for sure. Especially, I know I'm going to say, I might going to get in trouble for this. There's a lot of women out there who are saying that they are finding it hard to understand men in this society. So this is it. We find it hard to understand men. I'm sure Noah's book will definitely create a space for you to enter into parts, not full realities of men's experiences, but parts experiences of men. So thank you very much, Noah. And I hope and pray that in everything else that you say in mine too, it will flourish. It will flourish for sure. Bless you, man, for joining Mr. Same Neighborhood.